Hey folks, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk a bit about adversity. It's a topic that's popped up in the last while. Definitely, we've talked about it today, but it's something just in conversation before we jump on the podcast. There's a number of events that's happened over the last weeks and months, and I think it'd be perfect to discuss. Yeah, I think that's it. And by the way, I'm joined by my co-founder Matthew Gamblin, known as Matty. Uh, Excuse the ab. I'm excited to get into things.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I'm excited about this topic because, yeah, particularly over the last fortnight, I think for both of us, there's been a few things that have happened outside of our control, and we've had to kind of navigate it. Nothing, I guess, life threatening, but yeah, some unforeseen circumstances which have we've had to kind of take on the chin and kind of run with it as we continue to create this company.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I've noticed that even in other, even in sports as well as business, there's things that pop up. And we've talked about if you really want to go back to if you want, well, not really, but if you want to go back to the start, there's a podcast on resilience and grit as well. But I think adversity, it's a perfect time to discuss. And if you see me blinking, I don't have my glasses today, so please excuse me. I think my eyes are just, yeah, no worries. All good. Let's jump into the show. So we'll go over on ChatGPT. We'll talk about the definition very quickly. Adversity is the experience of facing difficulties, hardship, or obstacles, where physical, emotional, social, or financial. It's a universal part of life, and while it often feels negative in the moment, it can play a powerful role in shaping growth, resilience, and perspective. At its core, adversity tests how people respond under pressure. Some common forms include personal loss or grief, failure or setbacks, health challenges, financial struggles, social rejection or isolation. What makes adversity meaningful isn't just the hardship itself, but the response to it. In fields like psychology, adversity is often linked to concepts like resilience, coping mechanisms, and post traumatic growth. The idea that people can come out stronger or more self aware after difficult experiences. Philosophical traditions such as Stoicism even view adversity as essential. Stoics believe challenges are opportunities to practice virtue, discipline, and emotional control. In a practical sense, adversity can build mental toughness, clarify priorities and values, increase empathy for others, encourage problem solving and adaptability. Of course, not all adversity leads to growth automatically. It can also overwhelm people if support and resources are lacking. That's why context, mindset, and support systems matter a lot. Yeah, I think that really sums up, and that may not be in journals. There's probably multiple different definitions of adversity in journals out there in psychology. Don't have a BSc in it, but or a master's or PhD. But yeah, or a doctorate. But I think I think just on a quick overview, that adversity is the experience of facing difficulties, hardships, or obstacles, and we've definitely come across them over the last while.
Yeah, I certainly agree, Ryan. And I think we'll probably talk about this in a little bit more detail later. But yeah, having support networks and support systems in place play a super critical role to be able to kind of go through adversity. So I think that that's why a lot of people can feel overwhelmed if they don't have the infrastructure in place in a variety of different contexts. Depending on what you're facing, it can be very difficult to navigate.
Definitely, and I know for myself, just a quick example. Last week, which is a pretty critical part of the business, phone got taken, and it's just one of those things where it's unusual in Sydney, but just one of those things where we've had to figure out a way. Just got an emergency phone with the SIM, and don't have access to certain bank accounts and social media, but we made a way and have a Slack and some Gmail and desktop or laptops. So it's one of those things that there are inevitably there's obstacles in the way, but I think I've talked about it. There's a book out there, um, book on adversity by Ryan Holiday. He's an author over in the US. He's a book called "The Obstacle Is the Way." And that's a really great read. This top book's Overcoming Adversity, which uses Stoic philosophy to turn challenges into advantages, and educated by Tara Westover. That's not it. Or that's another book. The Obstacle is the Way. There's another book. I haven't read it. What Doesn't Kill Us by Stephen Joseph. It's like I was in the CBD as well, in Sydney, the Central Business District, and I know there's like the Charles Darwin University, and I was thinking to myself that a lot of these setbacks are great for adaptation. And for those of you who don't know, Charles Darwin, he was Charles Robert Darwin from the 1809 to 1882 was an English naturalist and biologist best known for proposing the theory of evolution by natural selection, which posed that all species share a common ancestor and change over time. I don't think that's it, but Charles Darwin and adaptation quote. The famous quote often attributed to Charles Darwin regarding adaptation is, quote, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that is the most adaptable to change." And that's a quote, end quote. Key details regarding the quote: context. It summarizes the core concept of, we already talked about his natural selection and whatnot. But I think it's been able to, from just my perspective, and this isn't using ChatGPT or Gemini and Claude, but it's looking at setbacks and overcoming them and finding ways around them, and sometimes even going through them. I think it's so important. That requires a lot of energy as well. Yeah,
Yeah, it certainly does, Ryan. And I think, well, from my perspective, so a little challenge that happened over the last fortnight is I was living with two other guys. One of the guys, he had a sick family member back in the UK that it was his dad actually, to go back and look after, will help his mum support his dad. And then coincidentally, he actually ended up having, he got hit in the head with a glass and ended up having to have emergency surgery, and he wasn't able to come back to Australia. What that meant for me and the other housemate is that we've had to find a new place to rent. We've had to get all his belongings and so forth and send them back to the UK because he actually can't fly for 6 months. And he actually has to have eye surgery as well. And he's a quantity surveyor. So he needs, and there's a chance that he could lose eyesight. So, and he's got to look through the like little binoculars and so forth. So it just shows you how circumstances can quickly change for an individual very quickly. The good thing is now everything's kind of improved and he's had his surgery. And in that last couple of weeks, I've been able to, as you can see the view behind, me and the housemate have been able to find a new place to live and can kind of move on from there. But just shows you how sometimes things happen outside of your control and you have to look to how to navigate it. And I think what was also really good from your side of things is that, yeah, we've just co-founded a company and it's still early stage, but reflecting and knowing that there's other life things going on as well, and being able to make sure that we can kind of be there to de-stress certain situations and allow for some of the personal things to settle before we then would press go and action on other items as well.
definitely. And we could jump back into the different LLMs, but I'd love to just mention just probably ways about overcoming when you're faced with obstacles. I think one thing I revert back to, just on a personal note, is I try to be as positive as I can. Sometimes things can be really challenging, whether it's sports or business or personal life, with an injury, or with, you mentioned there, with your housemate or flatmate that's gone through a really terrible time and extremely challenging circumstances. And yeah, I know it's very easy to say be positive, but it's one of those things that if you can have a bit of hope in the moment when things are really tough, um, and having a support network, and there's an element of, number one, the environment that you're in, and having that support network, a group of people that you can lean on when things are really tough. Because when you're isolated and you're alone in those things, like, this is great having a co-founder in this working relationship and the business, and I couldn't like doing it alone would be very, very challenging. I know there's co-founders out there, but even playing sports alone, but having a team aspect of being a part of a team and a community can really, really improve chances of overcoming any sort of obstacles or any sort of adversity or obstacles.
Yeah, I certainly agree, Ryan. It's particularly over the last couple of weeks for myself, I've been able to, yeah, discuss things with you. Also, family and friends have been able to support. We are moving from a larger place into a small place, so I had to, and it was the end of like a 5 year lease. So there was a lot of furniture and everything that needed to get removed as well. Uh, Little bits and people have been able to help out in lots of different kind of ways, whether it's been kind of transporting some things to the new apartment or helping kind of find a new lease, and then also being able to find some new items to put into the property. So one thing I've learned is that yeah, the support networks are really critical. But what I've learned over the years too is that sometimes the help will come in potentially a slightly different way to what you might want at that particular point in time, and just to kind of take what's offered and run with that as it occurs. That's something that I've learned to go with over the years as well.
Definitely, that's a great point. Really great point, Maddie. And there's a few things here on ChatGPT that I can briefly talked about, and it is just from. It also mentions stoicism, but from a psychology perspective, coping strategies matter a lot. Things like self-talk, routines, support, social support, influence on how well someone can persist through stress. You're not just solving the problem; you're managing your state while solving it. There's a number of things we can get into. Just really quickly, practically, people who get through hard periods tend to do a few things consistently. Keep some structure, sleep, meals, basic routine. Talk to someone instead of isolating completely. Take small actions even when progress feels slow. Accept setbacks without treating them as failure of character. None of this removes difficulty, but it keeps you from getting stuck in it. And just in a business context as well, in a business context, getting through challenges is mostly about how you manage uncertainty, make decisions under pressure, and keep the organization moving even when things aren't working. A useful way to think about it is that business challenges usually fall into three buckets: cash, customers, and capability. Money flow, demand, and execution. Most crises touch at least one of these. Here are practical ways businesses push through difficult periods. Number one, focus on survival first, not perfection. When things get tough, the priority is keeping the business stable enough to continue operating. That means often cutting unnecessary costs, protecting core revenue streams, delaying non essential projects. It's not about long term optimization yet, it's about staying alive long enough to recover. Number two, st- break the problem into controllable parts. Instead of, quote, the business is struggling, end quote, isolate the issue. Is it demand, customers not buying? Is it delivery, can't execute well? Is it structure, cost too high? Clarity reduces panic and helps you act instead of react. Number three, make fast, reversible decisions. In uncertain periods, speed matters more than perfection. Good operators in entrepreneurship often prioritize decisions that can be tested quickly and adjusted rather than long, irreversible bets. Number four, protect cash flow aggressively. Again, I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. Cash is what buys time. I say again, because I mentioned in a previous episode, businesses that survive downturns usually tighten payment cycles, get paid faster, negotiate supplier terms, focus on higher margin or reliable revenue first. Number five, stay close to customers when pressure rises. Companies often become internally focused, but survival usually depends on going outward, talking to customers directly, understanding why demand is changing, adjust offers quickly. Number six, keep team clarity and moral morale realistic, from a behavioral perspective in psychology. Uncertainty increases stress and poor decision making. Clear communication, even when things are bad, is more stabilizing than optimism without substance. Seven, treat setbacks as feedback loops. In businesses, failure is rarely final, it's data. The key question becomes, quote, what is this telling us about the market, our pricing, or our execution, question mark. But I think just in a yeah, there's so much to add there, Matty. I don't know if you want to go into a bit more detail or in a business context.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, right? I think, yeah, it's being able to navigate uncertainty. So, and one of the I think it was Richard Branson. So no decision really can be is that big that it can't be undone, as well. So you're just trying to fact find and I guess make a decision based on the information that you have at this point in time, and that will might lead to another decision. I think as an organization, particularly as it gets bigger, then there's more impact and there's more weight to some of the decisions that you're making. But particularly where we are in an earlier stage, yeah, we can kind of get going, execute towards our plan. And I think a critical element in being able to manage stress is that you have some sort of plan in place and you're kind of executing against that. And that helps relieve a lot of the stress and manage through a challenging circumstance. Certainly, I've had to do it with a lot of organizations where they have been facing declining revenue and tight cash. And so you have to make critical decisions at that point in time. But there's like a plan in place to be able to do it. And I think, particularly during those environments as well, um, realizing that, well, you'll just get to the next kind of goalpost. And then as you get more information, then you'll be able to kind of transition out of that, whether it is like by pivoting the business or some sort of kind of restructure event. The change does happen, and it just takes time to be able to manage through that process.
Yeah, definitely. I love what you said at the end there, Matty, that it does take time. And if there's definitely one thing I know about overcoming obstacles, it's time. And I was yeah, just yeah. That statement
Yeah, it
is
doesn't it
so
doesn't it
critical.
doesn't happen. Yeah, a lot of people I think want it now, and it doesn't happen immediately. Again, it depends on the type of decision or the size of the organization, but yeah, usually it's just kind of you gotta manage, through that. And it's only well, it's something that I've gotten used to just because I've been exposed to multiple situations that have been difficult, and you kind of wanna go, "Alright, well, we've got this problem, we're going to change it next week." No, like it might involve like several conversations with either customers or suppliers, depending on the organization, to be able to kind of pull a few different levers. And it also might involve several different kind of discussions and meetings with a senior leadership team to be able to kind of manage a change event that happens. So yeah, kind of a lot of different moving parts, and it's being kind of patient through moving them through that process. That's where I think it's super critical. So I think the success more depends on the patience and willing to execute towards a plan. And if you're in that plan and more information comes to light, and you might want to pivot slightly, then that's okay. Like you, you can do that, and you should have the freedom to do that. Um, but you're just making the best use of the information that you have at that point in time.
Definitely. Definitely. And sometimes I know for myself and even prior circumstances and situations that things can last for an hour, a few minutes, an hour, and a day, 2 days, or 72 hours, and a week, months. But there was a great, someone mentioned it to me before, and it was in the sauna in Greystones in Ireland. And I was telling them that I feel like I'm just not, like things aren't going the way I'd like in life. And I wish I was just able to make a bit more progress, and I'm just a lot of adversity. And I feel like I'm kind of, and he said something very simple, and this could be a business context as well, and a sporting context with business. And he mentioned that if you zoom out far enough, you're always making progress, and that really shifted my perspective, and maybe think about things with a different lens and a different framework. I was looking at the problem in a timeline of a week or a 2 week or maybe a year or 3 years or 4 years. For some people, that's forever scenario. But if I took a 10-year view or a 12 or 13-year view, I was just seemingly always making progress. So I just thought I'd mention that. Or even it could be something that happened today, but if you shift out to the rest of the week with that week you may have made tremendous amount of progress. So yeah, I just thought I'd say that to add. But yeah, I'd love to know this if anything comes. I know that we already talked about this to mind, Maddie, in a sporting context as well as business for you. That with adversity and obstacles and
Yeah, so I actually, as I was cleaning up my apartment, I found a note. I'll read it out. Obviously, there's some information that I won't include, but it was interesting reflecting on this. So I actually got a termination of employment letter. And so I'll read it out. It says, this letter is to confirm that you've been unsuccessful in completing your probationary period and your employment with company X. The company has assessed your suitability for the position of X, and it has been identified that you're not suitable. Therefore, the company has decided to terminate your employment with immediate effect. And it was interesting as I was like looking at this, because there was quite a lot of items that were not included in this letter that I actioned. And I'll just talk high level to some of them. So, in that time, I was able to get the fastest sale ever for the company. I was able to create and upskill and systemize an advisory service line. I was able to develop and mentor team leaders. I was able to assist with a merger transition and transition systems from one infrastructure to another infrastructure. And I was able to support team members that were going through life changing health events during that time. And I just found it was like interesting. If you were to pick up that letter, you'd be like, oh, well, he's incapable. But there's all this other context that goes into that. I'm like, oh, it's not kind of real. I think that's a good situation being able to go, well, hang on, yeah, okay, that might be kind of one context of view, but I know essentially kind of what happened and all the things that I actually were able to deliver. I think that's, I guess, what you were talking on to before on like kind of reframing a situation, and knowing the skills that you have and the confidence in that and kind of managing through adversity and not letting certain feedback actually kind of pull you down. That's one thing I've noticed is that, yeah, you'll kind of keep getting all these challenges stacked on top of each other and it'll try and pull you back down. But that's what you're trying to, I guess, fight against is like, no, have the skills and capability. I can then step above it and keep stepping on top of it rather than letting it pull you back down.
yeah, wow. Thanks for sharing that, Maddie, and being vulnerable and talking about that and resonates so much that sometimes you do feel like there's things, there's challenges that really just knock you back down, and it's kind of it seems like they're very tough to get around, and it's almost like I don't want to say the word impossible, but it's very difficult to overcome certain things. And but yeah, thanks for sharing. And yeah, geez, it's just one of those things. Like even my central nervous system, my brain, and just the spinal cord were feeling this what it was like to that for like an obstacle, like a really terrible or tough situation to happen. I was like, geez, you know what I mean? It
Uh,
can be super tough. Like I can be like yeah, it can be just yeah. Thankfully, I'll be as positive as I can, and things are going well. But when you're under pressure, it's just yeah, things can be tough.
yeah, and I don't know about yourself, Ryan, but like I'll default into, particularly if I'm kind of tired and so forth, and you've got maybe multiple factors impacting you at once, then that negative feedback loop will start coming in, and you'll probably start questioning your self belief. And that's why, yeah, having those support networks and other people to kind of talk to and reframing certain things and like writing things that you have achieved down kind of does show that growth and that you can overcome them, because that's can be quickly easy forgotten. I know that myself. I don't know about you, but I do keep like a journal. I don't write in it all the time. There's some periods where I'll go and I'll write more consistently. But yeah, kind of reflecting on things that you have achieved or have managed through a certain situation again reinstalls that confidence to go and take on the next challenge.
Definitely, they're all yeah. that's a really great point as well, that overcoming one challenge can obstacle can or challenge you mentioned can really help the next one. It's almost like stairs as well, kinda you build up strength over time and, uh, yeah, yeah, things seem to get feel a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to handle, I suppose. Yeah, and I don't wanna be also very negative and say there's also a lot of positivity and things can go well in life. If someone
Yeah, so as as quickly as things can flip to a challenging situation, they can also flip the other way. Like, look at people who win the lottery, or you can also get, yeah, a few through persistence. And that's what I think, um, as you get through adverse situations, there is usually like a carrot at the end, and a few things kind of just do fall into line. As I said before, it might be in a different way to what you wanted, but it might even be better.
yeah, sometimes things can be yeah, I know we're talking about adversity and overcoming obstacles, but sometimes it can be the opposite way, that something happens that can be better than you ever imagined. So I wanna make sure for people listening out there that are going through it, that in a business, sporting context, or even a life or even, yeah, personal life, that, sometimes it's the opposite way. You go through a challenge and the other side of it could be the best thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good things can happen. So, yeah, I want to be as positive as possible because, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if you want to, is there anything to add, Maddie? I'd love to just maybe do a quick conclusion at the end, maybe one big takeaway.
Nothing else from my end, other than we've got to get that set of drum. We've got to get the drum roll for the big takeout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've
You'll
got
have to,
to.
yeah,
I
you'll have
do it
to
with my voice,
punch
but
it
it'd be
out in
terrible.
the,
I can't do.
or unless you want to do the takeaway, or I don't mind doing it, or yeah.
No, no, we're in with you. You're the
Okay,
takeaway guy.
okay,
So
okay. The one big thing about adversity is that it reveals and reshapes your capacity to respond under pressure. In other words, adversity doesn't just test you, it shows you what your current limits are and often expands them over time. Two people can face the same hardship and come out differently, not because the situation changed, but because their response patterns change, how they think about the problem, how quickly they recover after setbacks, whether they keep taking action or freeze. From a psychological perspective in psychology, adversity is strongly linked to adaptive learning. Your brain updates based on experience. Difficult situations force faster learning about what works, what doesn't, and what you can actually endure. So, the core idea is simple but important. Adversity doesn't just happen to you, it actively trains your ability to handle future adversity, which is, we already talked about briefly, and that's why people often become more resilient over time, not because life gets easier, but because they get better at responding. And hopefully, sometimes life does get easier. For anyone out there that's just going through it, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. I don't know which one to add. Yeah, it's very much. I wouldn't wish. Yeah, I hope people have a stress-free life as much as possible. But yeah, it's when things do happen, when hard times come or tough times come, having that sort of adversity, and yeah.
yeah, certainly agree, Ryan. And the support networks are super critical. I used to think that you'd never have to go through adversity or a difficult set of circumstances, but having gone through multiple events, I can kind of see it now why it's important. So, because without it, I guess you just assume that the best will happen all the time, and that's not always the case. And I think it happens at different stages of people's life. Some people go through it at a younger age. Some people it might be a little bit later. But I think also too, when you're putting yourself in certain situations, like for example, starting a business or a startup, there's a higher chance of failure. So you have to be okay that you're taking on that potential risk and that things that may not actually work. And it's not a reflection essentially on yourself. At least you're out there trying, and then you'll kind of create learnings, and it might help for either the next company or the next kind of role or the next challenge that you move into from there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love talking about this topic today. especially around how someone responds to challenges. And we won't talk about the mindset and the concept. You can, for those of you who are new listeners to the show, there's plenty of episodes you can go back on mindset. Maybe we'll talk about it again another day in a bit more of a business context. But yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for listening, and feel free to follow along the show. You can subscribe or leave a review. And if you want to check our business out, it's on the website. The domain is fluxium.ai. We did have .com.au. We just changed it recently. And we're on social media as well. Just going to get some verification to make sure that there's no impersonation. I think that's it. Yeah, we're excited about the future. And at the moment, the one thing we're looking forward to just seeing how it goes. So the one thing we've really talked about it is we're kind of looking for a bit more of a technical person to come on as maybe a CTO, or maybe even something bigger, maybe a team, or just the technical side. Myself and Maddie will be more of the strategy, sales, and more the business oriented side of the startup. So it'd be great to have more technical experience. Yeah, is there anything you want to add, Maddie? Or
No, just yeah, just to reiterate, we are looking for a CTO. So if you're a listener and either yourself or you know someone that's a super capable CTO and wants to join myself and Ryan, we're keen to explore that opportunity. So yeah, drop us a line.
yeah, 100%. And you can check out our backgrounds on LinkedIn. We both have international experience. Maddie's CFO previously ex Google. So yeah, excited to work together in this fintech opportunity in the financial services space. Yeah, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for listening.
See ya.